Hi, I am Umar Javed from CyberPanel. In this video, I will explain patch versus put. Patch versus put are two reliable HTTP methods for updating resources when working with REST APIs. Both may seem similar but are actually quite different. Think of a REST API like a digital filing cabinet. When you need to fix a small detail in a document like correcting a misspelled name, you only change that specific part instead of rewriting the whole document. This is similar to how patch works. On the other hand, if you want to replace an outdated document with a completely new version, you should remove the old one and upload the new file. This is how put functions. A patch serves as a set of instructions for modifying a resource. It applies modifications to the resource rather than replacing it entirely. Patch is a more practical approach than put for making targeted changes since it only alters a specific resource section. It transmits less data and isn't idempotent, which means that sending the same request multiple times can produce different outcomes. The body section contains only the data that needs to be updated, leaving the rest of the resource intact. Here's an example to successfully modifying a resource using a patch. Assume there is a resource on the server representing a user with a numeric ID of 123 in a following format, JSON. Instead of sending a JSON object to fully overwrite a resource, a patch modifies only specific parts of the resource. This request updates the status field HTTP. The interpretation and authentication of the request depend on the specific implementation. Success can be indicated by any of the successful response status codes. In this example, a response is used because there is no need to transmit a body with additional context about the operation. Write HTTP. This is what you will see. Now let's discuss what is put. It is used to fully update an entity's information. Put is similar to post but will replace the entity if it already exists or create a new one if it doesn't. You can use a put request to add a user to your database, even if that user is already there. It replaces the current resource with a new version. Here is an example of how it creates a new resource. This put request aims to create a resource at example.com/new.html with the content. In new file, put the following command. If the resource does not currently exist and the put request is successful, the server should respond with a 201 created status. If the resource already exists and is successfully updated, the server must respond with either a 200 OK or a 204 no content to confirm the request was completed. Now comes the main part. How are the aspects that differentiate patch versus put? Let's find out. Put is idempotent while patch is not, meaning that making multiple identical put requests should have the same effect as a single request. Patch performs a partial update. It modifies only the field specified in the request, leaving the rest of the resource unchanged. On the other hand, put replaces the entire resource. If any field is missing from the request body, it may lead to the deletion of those fields in the resource being replaced. For example, consider a user object that includes name, email, and age. A patch request that includes only the email will update just that field. A put request with only the email will replace the entire object, potentially removing the name and age. Patch is more efficient as it only sends the data that needs to be updated, making it ideal for large objects or situations with limited bandwidth. Put is less efficient because it sends the entire resource even for small updates, leading to higher bandwidth usage. Using put, if a field is left out of the request, it may be deleted from the resulting resource. In contrast, patch does not pose this risk since it only updates the specified fields and leaves other unchanged. Patch is slightly more complex for the server to process because it must integrate the new data with the existing resource. Put is simpler in terms of logic as it completely overrides the resource. Now that you understand the distinctions between put versus patch, it's important to know when to use each method to ensure your API functions correctly. The patch and put HTTP methods influence website structure, content, and user experience, which can affect search engine rankings. Patch makes incremental updates while put replaces the entire resource. SEO implications involve keyword relevance, meta descriptions, and on-page factors. Improperly executed updates can harm user experience and lead to penalties from search engines. Managing patch and put can affect technical SEO aspects like page speed and crawlability. Deciding whether to use batch versus put actually comes down to how much data you want to update and how complex the resources are. Understanding when to use each method ensures that an API's resources are utilized more effectively, which ultimately enhances the user experience. Thank you for watching this video and subscribe for more videos.